only a psychology bachelor's, you're not going anywhere. You know, it's a very generalized field if you only have bachelor. Hello, it's your favorite host, Tokyo Bear. As a psychology graduate from one of the best universities in the world, I struggled with finding a job in the past 3-4 months. I'm going to share my psychology degree experience and my personal struggles and some takeaways. So I graduated from the University of Hong Kong, which was the best university in Asia. All the Chinese people would want to go into University of Hong Kong. Nowadays, I think Singaporean University has taken the lead, but it's still one of the most international universities worldwide. More than half of our students are foreign students, so it's a lot of different cultural exchange. You get to have a lot of professors from all around the world. Really cool place. I had a fruitful time because I went to 3 different exchanges during my 4 years, and I got to practice psychology in different countries. Each country is very unique. For example, I studied Swedish group psychology in Sweden, Gothenburg University. They have a lot of freedom, and they usually homework is not much because the grades are either distinguished, pass, or fail. So it's very chill, you know. And I got distinguished without even working very hard. I just read the papers and I showed up in class. And group psychology, so it's more about Milgram's shock experiments, Zimbardo's prison experiment, and prisoner's dilemma. So a lot of those type, a very general psychology, group psychology theories. It was really fun. A lot of sessions with discussion, and I think like the more Scandinavian type of course, the more freedom, the more way you could express yourself. You know, that's how Scandinavians like it. I called my professor in their first name as well, so not much formalities. And when I was studying in Japan, you know, the complete opposite. A lot of formalities. You know, when you send them emails, you need to put a lot of formalities that doesn't really make whole lot of sense. Like, oh, you've been being a very good teacher for me for a long time, you know, or like about the weather. You know, sometimes like Japanese people put a lot of formalities in their emails or business ethics, and that's the normal way. And but I really enjoyed Japanese the courses because I think I learned much more in these Japanese psychology courses. I took like biological psychology and cognitive psychology in Keio University in Tokyo, and it was really packed. Each slide had a piece of academic writing backing it up. So maybe there was 30 slides that session, and I would have learned at least like 30 or 40 papers worth, academic papers worth of knowledge. And it was very fascinating. I think that's the most densely packed PowerPoint slides I've ever seen in psychology. You know, Koreans are crazy. I mean, the students, they put their phones. You know, you see all the students put their mobile phones on in front of them, and they would just record what the lecturer was saying and go back home and write down what the Korean what the lecturer was saying. So it was like a minute. The students would have write a minute down to record. So they were one of the most hardworking students, and each country is different, so it was very astonishing for me, and I get to experience it. I never really thought finding a job would be a problem for me because, you know, I had this ego that I was in one of the best universities, and I thought, you know, I would somehow magically land on a job. That was my mentality, and I started to prepare for a job search late. Most students start in the beginning of their last year. I started job hunting in my last semester, and the pandemic also came, so it was not the best time, and I couldn't land on a job. Most people think that psychology students will become clinical practitioners. In reality, most students, like 90%, will go do research. They become researchers in the academic field. And the top 10% or top 5% will become clinical psychologists, industrial psychologists, educational psychologists, therapists. So those students will go into a master's degree to pursue a different field. I applied for clinical psychology and I didn't get in. It was not a big surprise for me because I got a GPA of 3.01. The upper limit for HKU is 4.3. So I wasn't surprised because you would have needed at least 3.6, 3.7. They didn't even give me an interview chance. And I've even heard people with 4.0 not getting in the course. So one of my mistakes was that I should have applied for all the different master's degree in Hong Kong, like educational psychology, industrial psychology, and I only applied for clinical, I think. So some friends asked that they want to pursue a second major bachelor's in psychology, and I highly don't recommend it unless they want to become a psychologist. But usually if you wanted to become a psychologist, you have chosen psychology in the beginning. But with only a psychology bachelor's, you're not going anywhere. It's a very generalized field if you only have bachelor. Only when you get into masters, it becomes a very specialized field because you become a practitioner. And unless you like research, you want to be a researcher, or you could manage to get into a master's, it's for you. But otherwise, don't go into psychology just because you're interested. It's very interesting, but you could always borrow textbooks, you could always read online. If you're the type of person who like academic papers, then maybe it's for you. But a lot of academics, a lot of theory, and people do not usually think about that. Anyways, after I graduated, I couldn't land on a job, so I was kind of sad, but at the same time, my family wasn't financially dependent on me, and I had a small amount of savings, so I thought I would take the opportunity to pursue the things I really had interest in, like programming and trying to make my own startup. It's quite ironic because I tell people, that you should study what you like. But I studied psychology. I liked it, but I decided to enter IT field and more of a programming field. And in the 3 months, actually, I tried developing this sensor. It's a crowdness aversion sensor, so essentially a sensor that detects the number of devices around the area. And the idea was that I would set it up in different areas of Hong Kong so that people would know real time the crowdiness situation in Hong Kong in different areas, and they could make a smart decision when going out with their family or friends and avoid crowded places. But then I realized, who am I going to sell it to? No business will buy this. No, individual will buy this. Maybe the government will, but it's very difficult to sell it to the government. One of the biggest realizations I got from the 3 months was that instead of staying at your home in your basement making whatever thing you want to make, you need fast prototyping and you need to show it to the world. We don't care what you want to make or what I want to make. We only care what the end user wants, right? What the people on the street wants. So I tried doing like cold pitching to people, telling people my ideas, and sometimes pitching it to my friends and seeing how they thought. Pitching to my university professors, and don't try to spend like 3 months to make a prototype. Try to make it in 2 weeks or even shorter. I decided to also try to look for a job because I need a sustainable revenue. Work at the same time trying to look and investigate what people really want. Try to do instead of putting all my time into making something really technological advanced or very it's a web browser with very fun functions. No, that's not the main focus. The main focus is what people want. If you like my video, please give it a like, a subscribe. I'm a very small channel, hoping to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of January, in 1 month, and more Hong Kong, Japan related interesting topics coming on.